The Lexington Park Rotary Club presents Money Matters on Metrocast Channel 10, a program designed to aid in the quest for service above self to our local Southern Maryland community. Hi, welcome to Money Matters, the show where we help make sense of all things financial. Money Matters is brought to you by the Lexington Park Rotary Club. I'm Ed Turbush, your host and chairman of the Financial Literacy Committee, focused on serving the community and a better understanding of financial literacy. Today our topic is recent changes in Maryland real estate laws and how they might affect you. Our local community expert today is Joanne Wood. Joanne is well respected in the community and a good friend as well. So Joanne, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Hi Ed, I'm an attorney in St. Mary's County. I've been practicing for almost 20 years. If you do the math, you know I've been practicing since I was 9.
Yeah, right.
Right. So I'm an attorney in St. Mary's. I practice in real estate and also in estate planning. I have an office in California, Maryland.
Okay, great. So I've known Joanne for about 10 years and worked very closely with her, and she does a fantastic job. So it sounds a little complicated. Recent changes in tax laws related to real estate. What exactly are the changes, and what has happened?
There's a real specific law that I wanted to talk about, and that's Senate Bill 436, House Bill 1209.
Okay.
It went into effect on July 1st, and it really impacts recordation tax. When you record a document at the courthouse for a real estate transaction, you have to pay a tax on the amount of money, whether it's for a deed, whether it's for a mortgage, the amount of money that is involved in the transaction, you have to pay recordation tax for that value of that transaction. So if it's a $100,000 deed, you're paying recordation tax on that value. If it's a $100,000 mortgage, paying recordation tax on that value.
Okay.
And so this new law impacted that tax, and specifically impacted an exemption for that tax with regard to refinances.
Okay. So let me just make sure I understand correctly. There's a tax on recordation, and that's a Maryland state tax?
Yes.
Okay. And so it's on any refinance? Is it on new home purchases as well, or just? Well,
when you purchase a home, you're going to get taxed in multiple ways because you also have transfer taxes, but this is just for the recordation tax that you have.
Okay.
So the recordation tax is a specific type of tax that you have. When the mortgage is recorded for a refinance, there was an exemption that we've had for a long period of time on that recordation tax for a principal residence.
Okay.
So if you were refinancing your principal residence, you had an exemption so that if you went and refinanced, the principal balance of your old mortgage would not be taxed.
So if you have a home that's, let's say, the principal mortgage is $250,000, and if back when the real estate market was really hot, you refinanced and took money out, it'd only be on the original $250,000, not the $25,000 that you took out. Is that?
That's correct. The new money that you would borrow, you would pay recordation tax.
Okay.
And so, for instance, in St. Mary's County, that recordation tax is $8 per 1,000.
Okay.
So you would pay $8 on that additional $25,000 that you might borrow.
But the $250 was exempt.
The $250 was exempt on your principal residence.
Okay, and that remains the same, or that's changed?
That's changed, and the thing that's kind of, if you're kind of a real estate nerd, the thing that's exciting for attorneys and for individuals who might own a second home, individuals who might own rental property, and they've been kind of sitting on it because they're worried about closing costs, is that this change in the law actually allows you to have that same exemption just that you had for your primary residence for those second homes, for the investment properties, for any property, because the word primary residence or principal residence has been removed from the law.
Okay.
So if you're refinancing, as long as you're the original mortgagor, the person who took out the original mortgage, you get that same exemption.
So if I have, if somebody had a second home in Ocean City, a condo or something along those lines, that if they refinance that mortgage, took advantage of lower rates today, then that would be exempt just as if it was their primary home.
That's correct. As to the original money, and if they're the original borrower.
Okay.
Now, don't ask me to quote the recordation tax in Worcester County because I'm not going to be able to tell you that.
Right. So the $8 per thousand is
that's St. Mary's.
St. Mary's, and each county is a little different.
Each county has their own tax.
Does the exemption where it applies to the primary home, does that matter where the secondary home is?
It's a statewide exemption.
So just within the state of Maryland?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So really, in a nutshell, what that does is it helps limit the closing cost that somebody would go through when they refinance that second home.
A second home or an investment property.
Investment property.
If you have a rental house, or if you bought a townhouse when you got your first home and you kept it as a rental property, it helps reduce the closing costs that you might have.
Okay. So I know, like in my business, for instance, there's a lot of folks that that have second homes. A lot of times it was their primary home, maybe their starter home, or they had a condo. As time went on, they were able to buy a larger home. Maybe they had a growing family, and then with the real estate market, they didn't want to sell their home because the prices had come down, and so now it's a rental. Sometimes those mortgages were higher interest rates because it's an old mortgage, and so this is now going to reduce their closing costs.
It reduces closing costs, and it's in the realm where we keep hearing about increased taxes. This is one.
Right.
Actually, one way that Maryland reduced tax. I don't think a lot of people are hearing about it.
So how did that happen, and why would, in this environment where we have
I don't
tax
really
revenue
know.
issues? And
don't really know.
So somebody along the way that had some push decided that this needed to change?
Yes.
And it was, you said, effective July 1st?
July 1st, 2013.
Okay.
The law also changed one other thing that may not impact as many people, and that is individuals who have property that they want to develop or property that they want to improve. If that property is owned by an entity like an LLC or a corporation, they can use something called an IDOT, which is an indemnity deed of trust or mortgage, and they can borrow money up to $3 million without paying that recordation tax. And it's where you have a company or an individual who borrows the money and a different company or individual that puts the property up as collateral. And that amount that you could borrow was limited to $1 million last year. And the legislature increased the amount that you could borrow up to $3 million with the same legislation. The same statute increased the amount.
So that could be a huge savings for developers going forward.
For individuals who are improving a rental property, if you get a construction loan for improvements. If you're developing unimproved property, that's an investment property, yes. So it's a huge savings. Have you seen a lot of interest, or is it still people kind of learning about it? I think people are still learning about it. Okay. Well, hopefully this show helps for folks to understand that this happened on July 1st. I want to thank you, Joanne, for your time today, and on behalf of the audience. Any final thoughts or a message you'd like to share with the audience? I think that it's important for you to talk to your loan officers. They know about this. I think it's important for you to talk to attorneys. They know about this law because it's very complicated. We're talking about it in just a few minutes. So there's a lot of information you can get. If you have an investment property, and investment sounds kind of tricky, but investment means it's not your principal residence. Just a secondary. And you're renting it, you're using it in a way to make money. It's important that you get information about how you can refinance it, what you can do with the mortgage on that property. So it's important for you to get information about changes in the law that are occurring. Great information, Joanne. Thank you again. I want to thank you, our audience, for joining us today on Money Matters on Metrocast Channel 10. I'm your host, Ed Turbush. Have a great day. The Lexington Park Rotary Club is proud to present this program in the quest for service above self to our local Southern Maryland community. The mission of Rotary is to provide service to others, promote integrity, and advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through its fellowship of business, professional, and community leaders. If you're interested in learning more about your local Rotary Club, please contact us at 301-373-2780 or visit our website at www.rotarylp.org.